Project amendments that may be proposed by the project recipient of the Department of the Program Management. The amendments of the approved approval procedure described in the following pages are followed. This section applies to the type of states, federal projects, and issued by the department, and project recipient may not be beginning to expand obligated federal funding is under the project amendment of the later of the following. The two dates that the Department A receives the amendment is substantial approval in form, and two, the date of the approval of the program management of the amendment request for the receipt must receive the Department of the substantial approval for the prior determination of the date of the project indicated for the project awarded notification to the Department of Education. 200. The Department reserves the right of the waive minor irregularities. The program management amendments requiring the Department of Education forms when applicable to the law rules governing the request of the proposal request for the application do not expressly stimulate the program budget amendment. The requirements project recipients should be obtained the approval of the writings and make any of the following changes approved for the project application: scope, goals, objectives, project evaluation scope, deliverables, work tasks for example, stated objectives of the approved project to provide internal training for the selected personnel. Subsequently, first agent determines more sufficient means to achieve the objective through the personnel observing that best practices in other location changes that constitute modification work tasks for the work required for the written approval for the department from the department. Change in key of the person type of the personnel equipped for the project approved of the original application. For example, it meets the objectives of the project technology specialist is needed for the prior written approval for the department is required for the approved application list of the two program specialists position for the meet the objectives of approved project for the three program specialists needed is a change and allowable for the written approval for the department. Non-constructive project sub-granting and if authorized the law otherwise obtained for the services of the third party to perform activities of the central and proposed of the ward. Section B, continue the budget revision of the necessary to implementation of the program amended for the requiring the prior approval of all revisions must be responsible, necessary, allowable, legal to promote the objectives in the program. Budget revisions will increase the total amount of the project. All revisions must be responsible, necessary, allowable, legal to promote objectives for the program. Changes in travel rate based on section 1112 061 14 of the Florida State statutes. Documentation must include the project amendment with the full have the detailed description of the budget description of the budget change. Amendment for the project applicant requirements for the prior approval for the department shall be completed as follows. The project amendments approved for the project application for all programs shall be prepared for the project recipients for the project amendment request of the Department of Education and the Department of Education 150 and the budget amendment narrative of the Department of Education 151. Project recipients should submit the original signature signed form unless otherwise specified. Both program management budgets shall be signed by the superintendent of the school district or the agency headed on the entities. The amendment request signed for the other officials rather than the superintendent agency's head that must be enlisted and must be included in listed authorization on behalf of the said an official attached for the Department of Education 150 form for the amendment requested submitted to the program amendments. Project recipients shall be described in detail justifying the type of the program programmatic changes request for the project amendment the requesting for the Department of Education 150 to clarify the identifying in each effective page of the approved project. For the amendments, project recipients should describe the detailed revisions of the requesting and budget revision project amendment request for the Department of Education 150. All the revision must be responsible, necessary, allowable, legal for the promote the objectives of the program. Project recipients shall include the budget in items that are being amended with a detailed description of each of the items of the Department of Education Form 151 project. As recipients shall be required to submit the revised total budget is unless requested by the Department of the Program Manager. If the states and the rules governing the program especially stipulate the program of the budget amendments with the requirement of the different from the stated in the section of the program manager shall inform the potential project recipients such as requirements of time project applications of the invited the request for proposal, request for application, and or special terms and conditions section for the project award notification. The authorities to such requirements shall be specified. The project recipients responsible for determining the budget revisions comply with the applicable statutes, regulations, rules, program requirements for using fiscal control of the funding accountable procedure for the ensure the project proper disbursement accounting for the state and federal funds of accurately time and manner. For reimbursement of the project performance projects, any change of the approved deliverable must be written, and approval reduction deliverable must be justified in corresponding monetary reduction. Project amendment, the request of the Department of Education 150 requires the original signature of the superintendent, president, President, Chairman, Chairperson of the Board, and must be sent to the Department of Education Bureau of the Contract Grants and the Procurement of the Management Services, 332 Charling Building, 325 West Gain Street, Tallahassee, 50, Florida, 323990400. The amendments of the roll forward funding budget amended and increased the total amount of the awards and required the amount of the increase to $25 more about amount improved with the original allocation maybe plus any estimated roll forward that is specified by the Department of Education 200. The estimated roll forward ones are made by the actual amount and certified admitting it is not required. However, the project recipient shall be reduced in budget locally to correspond with the reducing the project amount. All other amendments, certain amendments do not require submission of the project amendment request form. However, the department must receive a written request for the amendments in the form of the letter, memorandum, electronic mail. Examples such shall request include the would include those that would revise the project request for the received of the perform the determination of the current approval project period. Change of the reports of both the problematic official request for the must be received before the current approval of the reporting date, decreasing allocation termination the project summary, the amendments, the information required following is a chart summarizes the reason amendments for the information required for this application response from the department. Here's the chart. The reason for the amendment, change in scope and goals of the Department of Education 150 and 151 is an amendment by the Department of 200 and change the project evaluation in the 150 for 151 and the Amendment 200. These next file the same as Department 151 and the response for the Department of Education from 200. Change the delivery, work tasks, types, person, services, third party, and budget implemented program amendment and increase in project amount. Revised project period of the written request in Department of Education for the rest of the following or changing the report of dates, decreasing allocation, terminating the program is only in written request and amended by the Department of Education 200. Changes in the function of the object codes will not affect with the criteria addressed for the requirements of the program. Budget amendments do not require an amendment in case of the proposed expenditure signifying exceeds the amount of the approved line item budget, meaning the program office should be in contact with to determine whether such expenditures change the size scope of the project is yes, and the amendment is required. Generally, the amendment projects its need to be subject no later than 30 calendar days before the end of the project period. However, the exception may be made to extraordinary projects. Amendments must be submitted to directly grant management to ensure that they meet the following criteria: substantial approval for the SAF, date of receipt, grant management and documentation, date of stamp, original signature, superintendent, president, chairperson, his or her designee of the Department of Education 150. All required forms received all amendments entered in the database, and they sent to the program office of the compliance with the review to ensure the integrity and the project and maintained upon the completion of the program compliance with the review and technical budget review that is recommended for the approval and amended for the project awarded notification process according to the project application procedures described in Section A of the project application. The grant management will be provided with notification project recipients for the amendment as they are not approved by the stating of the reason for such an action. Section C, Official Program Accountability.